My name is Emma Clark. I'm 28 years old, and for the past year and a half, I've been living alone on 50 acres of forest land in rural Washington state, continuing a ritual my grandfather kept for 47 years. Every night at 9 p.m., I sit on the back porch of his old cabin, rain or shine, winter or summer, without fail. Most nights, nothing happens. I sit in silence for an hour or two, then go inside. But some nights I'm not alone. This is the story of my grandfather's secret, and how that secret became mine. Robert Clark, everyone called him Bobby, was my grandfather. He died in June 2023 at age 82, pancreatic cancer. It was fast, from diagnosis to death in 3 months. I was very close to Grandpa, my father's father. My dad died when I was 3, car accident, and Grandpa stepped in to help my mom raise me. Every summer from age 5 to 18, I'd spend weeks at his cabin, just me and him, hiking, fishing, learning about the forest. He was a retired forest ranger, widower. My grandma Betty died when I was 2. He lived alone by choice, said he preferred trees to people. I understood that. There was something peaceful about his isolation, something purposeful. But there was also something strange. Something I noticed as a child but didn't understand until much later. Every night at 9 p.m., Grandpa would go out to the back porch. He had a routine. Would sit in his chair, old wooden rocking chair worn smooth by decades of use, and he'd stay there for an hour, sometimes 2. "What are you doing out there?" I'd ask when I was little. "Just sitting, thinking, enjoying the quiet." But it wasn't just that. As I got older, I realized he was waiting for something or someone. I remember one night when I was maybe 8 years old. Summer 2003. I was supposed to be in bed but couldn't sleep. Got up to get water from the kitchen, passed the back door and saw Grandpa on the porch, and he was talking, not to himself, to someone. I couldn't hear the words clearly through the glass, but I could see his posture. The way you lean forward when you're engaged in conversation, the way you gesture when you're making a point. Who's he talking to? I wondered. I pressed my face against the window, tried to see, but it was dark. The porch light was off. Grandpa always kept it off during his nightly sits. Then I saw movement at the tree line, maybe 50 feet from the porch, something large, sitting on the ground. I could see its silhouette against the slightly lighter forest behind it. Too big to be a person. Way too big. Even sitting, it was massive. I was terrified, wanted to scream, warn Grandpa, but something stopped me. Grandpa wasn't afraid. He was relaxed, talking like he was chatting with an old friend. I watched for maybe 5 minutes, then got scared and ran back to bed, pulled the covers over my head, tried to convince myself I'd imagined it. The next morning at breakfast, I asked, "Grandpa, who were you talking to last night?" He looked at me carefully. "You saw something." I saw something at the trees. It was really big. Grandpa was quiet for a long time. Then, "That's someone who's been visiting me for a very long time. Someone who needed a friend as much as I did." "What is it?" "Someone the world doesn't understand, so we keep it between us. Can you do that? Keep a secret?" I nodded. I was 8. Keeping secrets made me feel grown up, important. Good girl. "And Emma, don't be afraid. He'd never hurt you, or me. He's just lonely, like I am sometimes." That was all he'd say, and I didn't push. But from then on, I knew. Grandpa had a visitor every night at 9 p.m., and whatever it wasn't human. Over the years, I'd occasionally see the silhouette, always at a distance, always at the tree line, never approaching the porch during my visits, like it knew I was there and was giving space. I went to college at 18, University of Washington in Seattle, studied graphic design, started my career. My visits to Grandpa's cabin became less frequent, 2 or 3 times a year instead of every summer, but every time I visited, the ritual continued. Grandpa would excuse himself at 9 p.m., go to the porch, sit in his chair, and something would appear at the tree line. I was in my 20s by then, had read about Sasquatch, Bigfoot, the Pacific Northwest legends, and I'd put it together. That's what was visiting Grandpa, had to be, but I never asked directly. And Grandpa never offered more than he'd said when I was 8. Some things were just understood between us. March 2023, I got the call from Grandpa's doctor. Pancreatic cancer, stage 4, inoperable, maybe 3 to 6 months. I took a leave of absence from my job, moved into the cabin to take care of him, help him through the end. Those 3 months were the hardest and most precious of my life. Grandpa was in pain but refused to show it, kept his routines as long as he could, including the porch ritual. Even when he was weak, even when walking was difficult, he'd insist on going out at 9 p.m. "He's still coming?" I asked one night in April. "Every night, same as always." "How long has this been going on?" Grandpa smiled, tired, thin, but genuine. 47 years, since 1976. 47 years? "Grandpa, what's the story? Tell me, please." He looked at me, weighing something. Then, "Sit down, I'll tell you." This is what he told me. In 1976, Grandpa was 35 years old, working as a forest ranger. One day on patrol, he heard sounds, an animal in distress. He found a massive creature caught in an illegal trap, bear trap, probably set by poachers. But the creature wasn't a bear, it was a Sasquatch, 8 feet tall, covered in reddish-brown fur, leg caught in the trap, bone broken. The creature was in agony but couldn't free itself. Grandpa had a choice: report it, call for backup, let the authorities handle it. This would be the discovery of the century, or free it, help it, and keep the secret. I looked at him, Grandpa said, and I saw a person, not an animal, a person in pain, in danger, and I knew if I reported it, his life was over. He'd be captured, studied, caged, put on display. So Grandpa freed him, spent an hour carefully opening the trap. The creature didn't attack, didn't even threaten, just waited, trusting. Once free, the creature stood, tested the broken leg, made a sound, low, grateful, then limped away into the forest. Grandpa thought that was the end, a strange encounter, a secret he'd carry alone. But 3 nights later, he was at home, this cabin, sitting on the porch, and the creature appeared at the tree line, just stood there, watching. After maybe 20 minutes, it sat down and stayed. Grandpa waited, watched, eventually called out, "Are you okay? Is your leg healing?" The creature made a sound, not aggressive, almost conversational. They sat together for an hour that first night. Didn't move, didn't interact beyond the occasional vocalization, just coexisted. The next night, the creature came back, and the night after that. It became routine, Grandpa said. Every night at the same time, he'd appear. We'd sit together. Sometimes I'd talk, tell him about my day, about Betty, your grandma, about whatever was on my mind. He'd listen, make sounds sometimes. I started to understand what different sounds meant. We developed a way of communicating. "For 47 years?" I asked, amazed. "For 47 years. He became my closest friend. I know how that sounds, but it's true. When Betty died in 2001, I was devastated, didn't want to go on, and he was there, every night, just being present, that consistency, that companionship. It saved me." "Did anyone else ever know?" "No. Your mom. She thought I was crazy, talking to myself on the porch. I couldn't tell her the truth. She'd have thought I'd lost my mind, or worse, she'd have told someone, and he'd have been in danger. Why are you telling me now?" Grandpa looked at me with eyes that had seen so much. "Because I'm dying, and I need you to understand. He's going to be alone when I'm gone. After 47 years of companionship, he's going to grieve, and I want you to know, he's not dangerous. He's not a monster. He's just a being who needed a friend, and I happened to be there." I sat with that information, processing. Does he know you're dying? He knows, I can tell. He's been coming closer lately, staying longer. I think he's trying to spend as much time with me as possible before... Grandpa didn't finish the sentence. Didn't need to. By June, Grandpa was bedridden, too weak to walk. The cancer was winning. But every night at 9 p.m., I'd sit on the porch, continuing the ritual for him. And every night the creature would appear at the tree line. I'd see it clearly now. Massive, ancient-looking, gray streaking through the reddish-brown fur, scars visible even at a distance. It was old, very old. It would look toward the cabin, toward Grandpa's bedroom window, and make sounds, mournful, sad. He's asking about you, I'd tell Grandpa. He wants to know if you're okay. Tell him. Tell him I'm fine. Tell him thank you for 47 years of friendship. I'd go back to the porch and speak those words aloud. The creature would listen, then sit for an hour before leaving. June 28th, 2023. Grandpa died, peacefully, in his sleep. I was beside him when he passed. I sat with his body for a long time, crying, holding his hand, saying goodbye. At 9 p.m., out of habit, out of grief, I went to the porch. I didn't expect the creature to come. Grandpa was gone. Why would it continue the ritual? But at exactly 9 p.m. it appeared, at the tree line like always. We looked at each other, me and this impossible being, both of us grieving the same person. Then the creature did something it had never done in 47 years. It approached the house, walked slowly across the yard, climbed onto the porch, and sat down in Grandpa's chair. I was terrified, frozen. This was massive, 9 feet tall, easily 600 pounds. It could kill me without effort, but it didn't threaten me, didn't even look at me. It just sat in Grandpa's chair and made sounds, deep, resonant, heartbreaking. It was mourning, crying in its own way. We sat together for 2 hours, me in the doorway, it in Grandpa's chair, both of us grieving. Finally it stood, touched the chair gently, reverently like you'd touch something sacred, and left. I watched it disappear into the forest, and I knew Grandpa's secret was now mine, and this creature, this impossible being, was now my responsibility. The funeral was 3 days later, small service. Grandpa had outlived most of his friends. Just a handful of people showed up. My mom, some distant cousins, a few former colleagues from the Forest Service. I gave the eulogy, talked about Grandpa's love of nature, his dedication to conservation, his quiet strength, his kindness. I didn't mention his nightly visitor, the 47-year friendship that nobody knew about, the secret that had defined half his life, that stayed between me, Grandpa, and the creature in the forest. Grandpa's will was simple. Everything to me, the cabin, the 50 acres, his savings, not much, but enough, and a note. I read it alone the night after the funeral. Emma, keep the land wild. Keep it safe. Someone depends on it. You know who. Don't let me down. Love, Grandpa. I understood. This wasn't just an inheritance of property. It was an inheritance of responsibility, of guardianship. But I had decisions to make. I had a life in Seattle, a career, an apartment, friends. Could I really give all that up to stay in this isolated cabin, to continue a ritual for a creature I barely understood? I told myself I'd stay temporarily, just to handle Grandpa's affairs, sort through his belongings, get the property ready to what? Sell? Keep? I didn't know. But I couldn't make myself leave. Every night at 9 p.m. I sat on that porch, and every night I waited. For the first week after the funeral, nothing happened. The creature didn't appear. I'd sit in the darkness, in Grandpa's chair now, and stare at the empty tree line. I started to think he was gone, that he'd said his goodbye the night Grandpa died and moved on, maybe to find others of his kind, maybe to die alone somewhere in the deep forest. The thought made me unbearably sad. after 47 years of companionship, to end up alone. No one to sit with, no one to acknowledge his existence. On the 8th night, I almost didn't go out. What was the point? He wasn't coming back, but at 8:55 p.m., I found myself pulling on my jacket, walking to the porch, sitting in the chair, continuing the ritual because it felt wrong not to. At 9:15 p.m., I saw movement at the tree line. My heart jumped. I stood up without thinking. Hello? Are you there? A shape emerged from the shadows, massive, familiar. It was him. He stayed at the tree line, didn't approach like he had that first night, just stood there, watching. "Hi," I said, my voice shaking. I'm still here. I'm staying for a while, taking care of the place, like Grandpa wanted." The creature tilted his head, listening. That gesture, so human, so expressive, broke something open in my chest. "I know you miss him," I continued. "I miss him too. He was everything to me, and I know he was important to you too." The creature made a sound, low, gentle. I'd heard Grandpa describe the creature's vocalizations, but experiencing them in person was different. There was depth to the sound, emotion, meaning. It meant, "Acknowledges submitted material as primary proof." Another gavel strike, another ripple of sound through the packed hall. The stakes weren't just mine anymore. They belonged to everyone watching, every woman who had been doubted, every silence mistaken for consent. He rose suddenly, voice cracking. "This is a circus. She's manipulating the system." The arbiter didn't flinch. "Sit down." But he didn't. He stumbled forward, hands shaking, trying to reclaim the spotlight that no longer obeyed him. His words tumbled out, half denial, half confession. "I didn't mean to harm her," he said, breath short. "It was just paperwork, just timing. The microphone picked up every syllable, the crowd frozen in collective breath. Then his voice faltered, a tremor passing through it like an aftershock. He looked toward me, eyes hollow, and whispered, "I thought she'd forgive me." Silence held the room. The arbiter adjusted his glasses, his tone cold but clear. "Your own words have been recorded. Let the record show voluntary admission under oath." The light above the bench flared brighter, reflecting off polished marble, almost too intense to bear. In it, everything looked purified, exposed. I felt something shift inside me, not triumph, but release. The arbiter struck the gavel one last time. The sound echoed like closure. Across the aisle, he tried to steady himself, still standing, still searching for the lie that might save him. But lies had run out of breath. He rose to object, then collapsed under his own words. They didn't clap. They exhaled. Outside the courthouse, the air had changed texture. It wasn't celebration, not yet. It was relief, a kind of collective release that trembled through the crowd like a shared heartbeat. The town square, once the stage for whispers and accusations, had turned into something quieter, an echo chamber of conscience. The notice board stood at the center, the paper pinned there under glass, the official record of the verdict. People gathered in clusters, coats drawn close against the early wind. The sound of murmurs spread like a tide, gentle, repetitive, uncertain at first, then firm. She deserved truth. She waited too long. She never gave up. I stood a few steps away, my witness beside me. She didn't speak, didn't need to. Her hand brushed against my arm, a gesture not of comfort, but of solidarity. For months, she had carried pieces of the story I couldn't voice. Now, the town carried them instead. The notice itself was simple. Typed lines, stamped seal, signed by the arbiter. It declared the falsification, the restitution order, the forfeiture of claims. No adjectives, no drama. But beneath that glass, it was poetry written in law. I traced the words with my eyes, not daring to touch. Proof didn't need warmth to be real. Children ran across the square, their laughter weaving through the adults. "Home now." I called my boss, explained I needed to stay in Washington, Asked if I could work remotely, permanently. They agreed. Graphic design is portable. As long as I had internet, which I did, barely satellite connection, I could work from anywhere. I gave up my Seattle apartment, had my stuff shipped to the cabin, committed. That night, I told Sam, I'm staying. This is my home now, and I think you need that. Someone to sit with, like Grandpa did. I can't replace him, but I can be here, if you want. Sam moved closer. For the first time since that night Grandpa died, he stepped onto the porch. He didn't sit in the chair. That was sacred, Grandpa's place. But he sat on the porch floor, near me, but not threatening, just present. We sat together for over an hour, the longest he'd stayed since I'd taken over the ritual. When he left, I felt something shift. This wasn't just me continuing Grandpa's routine out of obligation. This was becoming something of my own, my relationship with Sam, my responsibility, my choice. October brought rain, lots of it. Pacific Northwest autumn in full force, cold, wet, miserable. But every night at 9 p.m., I was on that porch, and most nights Sam was there too. One particularly stormy night, I stayed inside. It was dangerous. Wind strong enough to knock down trees, lightning, torrential rain. He won't come in this weather, I told myself. Even Sam has sense enough to stay sheltered. But at 9 p.m., I looked out the window, and there he was, at the tree line, in the pouring rain, waiting. I grabbed my rain jacket and went out. Sam, what are you doing? It's not safe. He made sounds, insistent. He'd come for the ritual. Weather didn't matter. I sat in the chair, soaked within minutes. You're stubborn, you know that? He made a sound I'd learned meant amusement, or maybe agreement. We sat together for 30 minutes, both of us drenched, both of us ridiculous, both of us keeping a promise. When I went back inside, freezing and dripping, I realized something. This wasn't just routine. This was commitment. Sam had shown up in a dangerous storm because the ritual mattered, because our connection mattered, and I'd gone out to meet him for the same reason. In late October, I found Grandpa's journals, hidden in his bedroom closet, decades of entries. I spent a week reading them, learning about the 47-year relationship I'd only glimpsed. Grandpa's first entry about Sam was dated August 1976. He came back, third night in a row, just sits at the tree line, watching. I think he's trying to thank me for freeing him from that trap, or maybe he's just curious. Either way, I find myself looking forward to his visits. Betty thinks I'm working too hard, seeing things. I can't tell her the truth. She'd never believe me. Entries from 1978. 2 years now. He comes every single night. I've started talking to him about work, about life, sometimes about Betty. She's been tired lately, seeing doctors. I'm worried, and somehow, talking to him helps. He listens without judgment, without advice, just listens. That's rare. From 2001, after Grandma died, Betty's gone. Cancer took her. I don't know how to keep going, but he's still here, every night, consistent when everything else has fallen apart. I told him tonight, "You're the best friend I have left." I think he understood. From 2015, getting old. We both are. I can see gray in his fur. He moves slower. We're both at the end of our journeys, but we still have this, these nightly sits, this companionship that no one else would understand. I'm grateful for it, for him. And the final entry, 1 week before Grandpa died. Emma's here, taking care of me. She's strong, brave, kind. I think he'll watch over her when I'm gone. I hope she accepts him, doesn't fear him. He's been the most loyal friend I've ever had. 47 years of showing up, never asking for anything, just being present. That's love in its way. I hope Emma sees that. I cried reading those words. Grandpa had known, had planned this, had trusted me with Sam. I see it, Grandpa, I whispered. I understand now, and I won't let you down. November came, then December, winter settling in. I'd been at the cabin for 6 months, half a year of nightly rituals with Sam. We developed our own rhythm, our own relationship, different from what he'd had with Grandpa, but real nonetheless. But I started noticing something that worried me. Sam was slowing down, moving more carefully, sometimes making sounds that seemed like pain. He was old, very old. Grandpa's journals from '76 had described him as already mature. That was 47 years ago. How long did these creatures live? I had no idea. One night in mid-December, Sam arrived late, 9:45 instead of 9D, and he was limping. "Sam, are you hurt?" He made reassuring sounds, but I didn't believe him. "Let me see." He hesitated, then slowly approached the porch, closer than usual, close enough that I could examine him in the porch light. His left leg, the same one that had been caught in the trap decades ago, was bothering him. Old injury acting up maybe, or arthritis, or just age. "Does it hurt?" He made a sound. Acknowledgement. "Yes. I wish I could help. I don't know what you need, how to treat you." Sam made gentle sounds. "It's okay. I'm okay." But I could see he wasn't, and it terrified me. The thought of losing him, of being truly alone on this property, of the ritual ending. After he left that night, I sat in the darkness and cried. For Grandpa, for Sam, for myself. For the impossible weight of caring about someone I could never fully reach. Winter came hard that year. By January 2024, we had 3 feet of snow on the ground. Temperatures dropped below 0, the kind of cold that makes everything hurt. I worried constantly about Sam. Where did he shelter? How did he stay warm? Was he eating enough? Grandpa's journals mentioned that Sam lived somewhere in the deep forest, that he'd built shelters over the years, that he was resilient, adapted to the harsh winters. But Grandpa had also written those entries when Sam was younger, stronger. Now Sam was ancient, and I could see the toll winter was taking. One night in mid-January, he didn't show up. First time he'd missed since I'd moved in permanently. I sat on the porch in the freezing cold waiting. 9 p.m. came and went. 10 p.m., 11 p.m. Nothing. I went to bed terrified. What if something had happened? What if he was hurt? Dying somewhere alone in the snow? The next night, same thing. No Sam. By the third night, I couldn't take it anymore. At first light, I packed supplies. First aid kit, food, warm blankets, and headed into the forest. I had a general idea where he stayed, northeast of the cabin, in the deeper woods. I'd never gone looking before. It felt like a violation of privacy, but now I had no choice. I hiked for 2 hours, following instinct more than anything, looking for signs, broken branches, tracks, anything. Then I found it, a shelter built into the side of a hill, sophisticated construction, branches woven together, insulated with moss and bark, entrance just large enough for something Sam's size. "Sam?" I called. "Are you here? It's Emma." I heard movement inside. Then Sam emerged, slowly, painfully. He looked terrible, weak. His fur was matted. He was shivering. "Oh God, Sam, what's wrong? Are you sick?" He made weak sounds, not his usual vocalizations. Something was very wrong. I didn't think, just acted. "Come on, you're coming to the cabin. You can't stay out here like this." He made protesting sounds, but he was too weak to argue effectively. I helped him, as much as a 130-pound woman can help a 600-pound Sasquatch. Mostly, I just guided him, encouraged him, supported him when he stumbled. It took 3 hours to get back to the cabin. Sam had to rest every few hundred feet. When we finally arrived, I led him to the covered back porch. There was a storage area I'd cleared out, insulated, protected from wind. "Stay here, I'm gonna help you, okay?" Sam made soft sounds, gratitude, trust. I brought blankets, set up a space heater, safe distance but enough to warm the area. Brought water, food, raw meat from my freezer, fruits, vegetables. Sam drank the water desperately, ate a little, then collapsed onto the blankets. I sat with him for hours, talking softly, telling him he'd be okay, that I'd take care of him, just like Grandpa had taken care of him in 1976 when he was trapped and injured. The cycle continuing. Sam stayed on my porch for 5 days. I worked from inside, checking on him every hour, bringing food and water, making sure the heater stayed on, watching him slowly recover. We didn't do the 9 p.m. ritual. He was too weak. But I'd sit with him throughout the day, and he seemed comforted by my presence. On day 6, he was strong enough to stand, to move around. The color had returned to his skin where I could see it. His eyes were brighter. "You're feeling better," I said, relieved. He made confirming sounds, then something else. Sounds I'd learned meant gratitude. "Thank you." "You don't have to thank me. You're family," that's what Grandpa would say. "You're family." Sam looked at me for a long moment, then made a sound I'd never heard before. Soft, complex, emotional. I chose to interpret it as, "Your family too." That night, Sam insisted on going back to his shelter. He was well enough, strong enough, and I think he needed his own space, his independence. But before he left, he did something that surprised me. He picked up one of the blankets I'd given him, folded it carefully, took it with him, a piece of home, a connection. After that, our relationship changed, deepened. Sam still came every night at 9 p.m., but now there was more communication, more understanding, more trust. He started bringing me gifts, like Grandpa's journals had described from decades ago, firewood, stacked neatly by the cabin, fish caught from the creek, once a perfectly preserved bird's nest. I reciprocated, left food at the edge of the forest, tools I thought he might find useful. One time, a thick tarp I'd bought in town, I thought he could use it for his shelter. The next night, he made sounds that I interpreted as pleased surprise. The tarp was practical, useful. He appreciated it. February 2024. I got sick, bad flu, fever, chills, couldn't get out of bed for 3 days. I was delirious, barely aware of anything, couldn't make it to the porch for the ritual. On the 3rd night of my illness, around 2 a.m., I woke to sounds outside, movement on the porch. Through my bedroom window, I saw Sam. He was bringing firewood, stacking it carefully, making sure I'd have enough to keep the cabin warm. He knew I was sick, and he was taking care of me. I started crying. From fever, from emotion, from the sheer impossibility of this moment. A Sasquatch caring for a sick human, reversing roles, becoming the caretaker. When I recovered a week later, I sat with Sam on the porch. "Thank you for the firewood, for watching over me." He made gentle sounds. "Of course. That's what family does." March brought my mother for a visit. First time she'd been to the cabin since the funeral. I was terrified. How would I explain the nightly ritual? How would I hide Sam? Susan, my mom, arrived on a Friday afternoon. We had dinner, caught up. She asked about my life, my work, why I'd stayed at the cabin. "I like it here," I said. "It's peaceful, and I feel close to Grandpa." "Emma, I understand honoring his memory, but you've been here 9 months. You've put your whole life on hold. Don't you miss Seattle? Your friends? Normal society? This is normal for me now." She looked concerned. "Honey, you're isolating. That's not healthy. Your grandfather did the same thing after your grandmother died. Pushed everyone away, lived alone. It's not a good pattern to follow." "He wasn't alone," I said without thinking. "What do you mean?" I caught myself. He had his routines, his rituals, things that gave him purpose. Like sitting on the porch every night talking to himself. He wasn't talking to himself. The words came out before I could stop them. Susan stared at me. "Emma, what are you saying?" I backtracked. "Just that. His rituals meant something to him, and I'm continuing them, that's all." She didn't push, but I saw the worry in her eyes. She thought I was losing it, becoming as eccentric and isolated as Grandpa. That evening at 8:45, I excused myself. "I need to go outside for a bit. I do this every night. It's part of my routine now. Emma, it's freezing. What could you possibly need to do outside? Just something Grandpa did. I'm continuing it. Please don't worry. She followed me to the porch, sat down next to me. Okay, I'll sit with you. Tell me what this is about. My heart was racing. Sam would appear in 15 minutes. What would I do? How would I explain? At exactly 9 p.m., I saw movement at the tree line. Sam, right on schedule, but he stayed far back, hidden in shadows. He could see Susan, knew she was there, and he was being cautious. Susan didn't notice. She was talking about selling the property, about me coming back to civilization, about therapy and moving forward. I barely heard her. I was watching the shadows, watching Sam watch us. After 30 minutes, Susan got cold, went inside. I stayed. Sam waited another 10 minutes, then emerged slightly, still distant, still careful. I'm sorry, I whispered. She doesn't know, can't know, I'm sorry. He made understanding sounds. It's okay, stay safe. Then he disappeared. First time in weeks he'd left without coming close, without our usual communion. Susan left the next morning. Before she went, she held my hands. Emma, I love you, but I'm worried. This isolation isn't good for you. Please think about coming home, coming back to reality. This is my reality now, Mom. I know you don't understand, but I'm happy. Really. She left unconvinced, sad, worried. That night, Sam returned, came all the way to the porch. I'm sorry about yesterday, about her being here. I couldn't tell her about you. She wouldn't understand. Sam made sounds. I know. It's okay. Some things are too precious to share. Grandpa kept you secret for 47 years. I guess I'm doing the same. That night, we sat longer than usual, both of us acknowledging the weight of secrecy, the burden of protecting something the world wouldn't accept. April 2024. Almost a year since Grandpa died. Spring arriving. The forest coming back to life. I was hiking one afternoon, something I did often, exploring the property, checking the boundaries. Sam sometimes watched from a distance, making sure I was safe. I ventured farther than usual, northeast toward Sam's shelter area, not to intrude, just curious about the deeper forest. That's when I found the cave, hidden behind thick brush. Entrance maybe 4 feet high. I had to crouch to enter. Inside it opened up. Large chamber maybe 20 feet across. And on the walls, drawings, primitive art, charcoal and what looked like natural pigments. Some very old, faded, barely visible. Others more recent. Images of Sasquatch, multiple figures, families maybe, groups. Some drawings showed them hunting. Others showed them gathered together. Then I saw newer drawings, much newer, and my breath caught. 2 figures, one large, clearly Sam, one smaller, human-sized. The smaller figure was seated. The larger figure was standing nearby. Grandpa. This was Grandpa. Sam had drawn Grandpa. There were multiple drawings of them together, different poses, different seasons based on the backgrounds, a visual history of their relationship, and in the newest drawings, the smaller figure lying down, still, surrounded by marks that might represent flowers or offerings, Grandpa's death. Sam had documented it, but there was one more drawing, very recent. The charcoal still looked fresh. 3 figures now, large one, Sam, smaller one lying down, dead Grandpa, and a new figure, seated, female posture, me. He'd drawn me. I was part of his story now, part of his visual history, his family chronicle. I found Sam that evening. He was near his shelter gathering something. I found the cave. I saw the drawings. He made sounds, not angry, not upset, just acknowledging. You drew us, Grandpa, me. This is your family history, isn't it? He made confirming sounds. I'm honored to be part of your story. Sam approached, took my hand gently in his massive one. His hand could have crushed mine without effort. Instead, he held it carefully. tenderly, made sounds that meant, "You are family. You've always been family." We stood there for a long time, human and Sasquatch, bridged by loss, connected by love, bound by a ritual that transcended species. May 2024. I made a decision about the future. I went to a lawyer in the nearest town, set up a conservation trust. When I died, the property would be protected, could never be developed, would remain wild forever. I couldn't mention Sam directly in the legal documents, but I structured everything to ensure his safety. His home would be protected long after I was gone. I told him that night, "This land will always be safe. For you. For anyone who comes after. I've made sure of it." Sam made sounds, deep gratitude, relief maybe. He'd been here for decades. This was his home, and I was promising it would stay that way. June arrived. 1 year since Grandpa died. The anniversary hit me hard. I spent the day looking at photos, reading. Grandpa's journals, missing him intensely. That night, I sat on the porch, looked at his empty chair. I'd never sat in it again after those first weeks. It remained his, sacred. "I miss you," I said to the empty air, "every single day, but I understand now. What you had with Sam, this quiet companionship, this ritual, it's enough. It's everything." Sam appeared, made gentle sounds, shared grief. He missed Grandpa, too. He loved you, really loved you. You were his best friend. Sam made sounds, and you are mine. We sat together as the sun set, 1 year into our relationship, different from what he'd had with Grandpa, but real nonetheless, meaningful. As darkness fell, I felt peace. For the first time since Grandpa died, I felt truly at peace. This was my life now, guardian of the vigil, keeper of secrets, friend to the impossible. And I was exactly where I was supposed to be. June 25th, 2024. Sam didn't come to the porch. I waited until midnight, sitting in the cold, watching the empty tree line. Nothing. It was the first time he'd missed our ritual since that winter illness, and something felt wrong, deeply wrong. June 26th, still nothing. I hiked to his shelter, called his name, searched the surrounding area, no sign of him. June 27th. My anxiety turned to fear. Something had happened. I knew it. June 28th, 2024. Exactly 1 year after Grandpa died. I went out at dawn, searched for hours, finally found tracks leading to the cave, the one with the drawings, his cave, his sacred place. I approached carefully. "Sam, are you here? Please, I'm worried about you." I heard sounds from inside, weak, pained. I crawled through the entrance, let my eyes adjust to the darkness. Sam was there, lying in the back of the cave, on the floor where he'd created his sleeping area, and I could see immediately he was dying. "Oh God, no, 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 no. Sam, what's wrong?" He made soft sounds. "It's time. It's my time. No, you're going to be fine. I'll help you. I'll get you to the cabin. We'll..." He made a sound, firm but gentle. "Stop, listen." I stopped, tears already streaming down my face. "Please don't leave me. Not yet. I'm not ready." Sam made sounds I'd come to understand over our year together. Nobody's ever ready. But it happens anyway. I crawled to him, sat beside him, put my hand on his arm. His fur was coarse, warm, real. What can I do? How can I help? He made sounds. "Stay. Just stay." Okay, I'll stay. I'm not leaving you, I promise." I stayed in that cave for 3 days, left only to get supplies, water, food, blankets. I brought my sleeping bag, camped beside Sam, talked to him constantly, read to him from Grandpa's journals, told him stories, reminded him of the 47 years he'd had with Grandpa, the year he'd given me. "You've lived a good life, a long life. You've been loved. You've been important. You've mattered to 2 generations of my family." Sam's breathing was labored, getting worse each day, but he was listening. I could tell. On the second day, I asked the question I'd been holding back. Are you alone? Are you the last one? The last of your kind? Sam made sounds. Complicated, layered, I interpreted. Not the last everywhere, but the last here, in this region, for a long time. Is that why you stayed with Grandpa? Because you were lonely? Because you had no one else? Sounds that meant yes. And because he was kind. Because he saw me as a person. Because in 47 years, he never betrayed me. He loved you. I hope you know that. Really loved you. Sam made gentle sounds. I know. I loved him too. We cried together then, me with tears. Sam with those mournful vocalizations that I'd learned meant grief. On the third day, June 30th, Sam's breathing was very shallow. I knew we were close to the end. Is there anything you want? Anything I can do? Sam made sounds. Outside. Stars. You want to see the stars? Can you move? He tried. Failed. Too weak. Okay, let me help you. It took everything I had. Sam was massive, dead weight, but I managed to help him shift position, inch by inch, until we were at the cave entrance. The sun was setting, sky turning purple and orange, and above stars were starting to appear. We lay there together, Sam on his side, me pressed against him, his breathing ragged, my heart breaking. It's beautiful, I whispered. The stars, the forest, all of it. Sam made sounds, so soft I almost couldn't hear them. Thank you for this, for staying, for caring. Thank you for letting me, for trusting me, for continuing what you had with Grandpa. You gave me purpose. You gave me family. The stars came out fully, brilliant in the clear night sky. No light pollution out here, just infinite stars. Sam was looking up. I'd like to think he found peace in that sight, in the beauty of the world he'd lived in for so long. His breathing slowed, became irregular. I held his hand, massive, calloused, gentle. I'm here. I'm right here. You're not alone. You'll never be alone. Around 3 a.m., his breathing stopped. I stayed with him until dawn, holding his hand, saying goodbye, thanking him for everything. When the sun rose, I knew what I had to do. I buried Sam in the cave. It took all day, digging in the hard earth, making a grave deep enough, respectful enough. I wrapped him in the blankets he'd used on my porch when he was sick, added offerings, Grandpa's photo from the cabin, my own drawing of Sam that I'd made weeks earlier, wildflowers from the property, smooth stones from the creek. I said words over his grave. Here lies Sam, friend to 2 generations, companion for 48 years, the last of his kind in these woods. He was loved, he was cherished, he was family. I filled the grave, marked it with a large stone I carved with simple words. Sam, friend, family, 1976, 2024. Then I sat in that cave and cried for hours, for Sam, for Grandpa, for the end of something that had spanned nearly half a century. I stayed on the property, of course. There was never any question of leaving. July passed, August, September. I continued the ritual. Every night at 9 p.m. I sat on the porch. No one came. I knew no one would. But I did it anyway. For Grandpa. For Sam. For the memory of what they'd built together. For the year I'd been blessed to share with Sam. I was completely alone now. Truly alone in a way I'd never been before. The silence was profound. No more sounds from the tree line. No more vocalizations. No more presence watching over me. Just me and the forest and the ghosts of those I'd loved. October 2024. 4 months since Sam died. I was going through his cave. I visited weekly, maintaining it as a memorial, making sure it stayed protected. I was studying the drawings again, the chronicle of 48 years, when I noticed something I'd missed before. In the older drawings, the ones from decades ago, there were more Sasquatch figures, multiple beings, families. But as the drawings progressed chronologically, the number decreased. until only one figure remained in recent drawings, Sam, alone. I realized he'd watched his entire species disappear from this region, one by one, death, migration. Who knows? Until he was the last. For how many years had he been completely alone before Grandpa freed him from that trap? How lonely had he been? No wonder he'd kept coming back, night after night, for 47 years. Grandpa had been his only connection, his only family. And then I'd continued it, for one more year of not being alone. I sat in that cave and understood fully, for the first time, what this had meant to him, what Grandpa had given him, what I'd given him. Not just companionship, but proof that he existed, that he mattered, that someone saw him as a person. I wrote everything down, this whole story, Sam's story, Grandpa's story, my story. Put it online anonymously because Sam deserved to be remembered, but also protected. I didn't give locations, didn't give identifying details, just the truth, that this happened, that this was real. Some people would believe it, most wouldn't. That was okay. I wasn't trying to prove anything. I just needed the world to know. Sam existed. He mattered. He was loved. Life continued. I worked, maintained the property, kept the land wild, honored the trust Grandpa had left me. Every night at 9 p.m. I sat on the porch, alone, the ritual now just a memorial, a remembrance. Until July 1st, 2025, 1 year after Sam died. I sat on the porch that night thinking about anniversaries, about cycles, about endings, and I saw movement at the tree line. My heart stopped. Sam? But it wasn't Sam. Couldn't be. The figure that emerged was smaller, maybe 6 feet tall, younger, less scarred, a juvenile, a young Sasquatch. I stood up slowly, hands shaking. Hello? Who are you? The juvenile made curious sounds, high-pitched, uncertain, but not afraid. I'm Emma. I lived here with someone like you, someone who was my friend. The juvenile tilted its head, listening. The gesture so familiar it made me want to cry. He sat right here, every night for many years, and I sat with him. The juvenile made sounds, different from Sam's, younger, but structured, communicative. Are you alone? Are there others? The juvenile looked back toward the forest, made sounds that seemed to indicate maybe, possibly. They weren't all gone. Sam hadn't been the absolute last, just the last in this immediate area. But somewhere deeper in the forest, in the vast wilderness beyond my property, there were still more. If you need somewhere safe, you can come here. This land is protected. It'll always be protected. The juvenile watched me for a long moment, then slowly approached, not to the porch, but to the yard, about 20 feet away, sat down, in almost the same spot Sam used to sit when he first started visiting me. We sat together in silence for an hour, me on the porch. The juvenile in the yard. When it left, I felt something I hadn't felt in a year. Hope. The next night at 9 p.m., the juvenile returned. And the night after that, a new ritual beginning, a new relationship forming. I don't know if it will last 47 years like Grandpa's did. I don't know if this creature will stay or move on. I don't know anything for certain, but I know this, the vigil continues. For 48 years, my grandfather kept watch, sat with Sam, provided companionship to a being the world refused to acknowledge. For 1 year, I continued it, sat with Sam, honored what Grandpa had built, and now, maybe, I'll build something new, my own relationship, my own 47-year journey, or maybe this juvenile will visit a few times and move on, find its own kind, build its own life. Either way, I'll be here, every night at 9 p.m., sitting on this porch, keeping the vigil, because this is who I am now, guardian of the wild, keeper of secrets, friend to the impossible. My name is Emma Clark. I'm 28 years old, and I'm telling you this story because it matters. My grandfather sat with a Sasquatch every night for 47 years. After he died, that Sasquatch sat with me for 1 year. And when he died, I thought it was over. But it's not over. It's never over. Because the forest still holds mysteries, still holds beings that need what we all need: connection, acknowledgement, proof that we're not alone. I can't prove this story. Can't show you Sam's grave. I won't risk it being disturbed. Can't give you coordinates to the cave with its precious drawings. Can't lead you to the juvenile that's been visiting. All I can give you is the truth, as I lived it, as Grandpa lived it for 47 years before me. These beings exist. They're intelligent. They feel. They grieve. They love. They need companionship just like we do. And if you're ever blessed enough to encounter one, I hope you do what Grandpa did, what I try to do. See them as people. Protect them. Sit with them. Acknowledge their existence without exploiting it. The vigil my grandfather started in 1976 continues, through me, through this land, through the promise I made to keep it wild and safe. Sam is gone, but he's not forgotten. Every night when I sit on that porch, he's there in memory, in ritual, in the continuation of something he and Grandpa built together. And now, maybe, something new is beginning. Another generation, another relationship, another 47 years. Or maybe not. Maybe the juvenile will disappear tomorrow. Maybe I'll spend the rest of my life sitting on an empty porch, keeping vigil for ghosts. Either way, I'll be there at 9 p.m. every single night. Because that's what this is about, not proof, not validation, not fame or recognition. Just presence, just showing up, just saying to the darkness in the forest and whatever might be listening, you're not alone. I see you. You matter. My grandfather taught me that. Sam taught me that. And I'll carry it forward for as long as I live. The vigil continues, and I'm honored to keep it. Thank you, Grandpa. Thank you, Sam, for everything, for 48 years of loyalty, of love, of impossible friendship. I'll never forget, and I'll never stop watching. The forest is full of mysteries, but some mysteries choose us, adopt us, become family. I was chosen by Grandpa, by Sam, by this land and this responsibility, and I accept it completely, forever. The vigil continues.